Hey, folks, welcome to episode 79 of the Mile 20 podcast where epic shit happens. My name is Laura, and I am here with my bestie.
Lori.
And we have an absolutely incredible episode for you today. We are interviewing Jen Doan from England, and she just recently ran an Ironman and then another Ironman in 2 days.
I
And
think she's a
absolutely
real life Wonder Woman.
she is a delight, and I think y'all are gonna absolutely enjoy the conversation we're gonna have with Jen, and get a little bit of insight into her background and what got her running and what keeps her running, and cycling and swimming. So that's to
A
come here in a
lot.
little bit. Yeah, a lot, right? But yeah, totally,
Yes.
totally cool. And she just actually finished running. I keep saying running. She finished the two Ironman races. Do you say Ironman races or Ironman races? Is it
2
plural?
Ironman races. I think
Two
Ironman.
two Ironman races, roughly about 2 weekends ago. So she is fresh off of this accomplishment, and we are absolutely thrilled to go and have her on the podcast today. And she's a fellow podcaster as well, so we'll give a little bit of plug to her podcast as well. But in the meantime, Laura, before we cut into the interview, what have you been up to, my friend? What is your epic week been looking like?
It's been feeling fairly epic, finished out my week up at Cranberry Lake. Geez, up at Poconos.
Other
Um,
Lake. Other Lake. Wait, wait,
and
wait.
be,
Which trip is this? I'm Lori Feckman. Which trip is this? Where am I at?
yes, yes. It's like I get to spend my summers
Yes.
at the lake, and it's wonderful. So
Yes.
I have nothing to complain
People.
about.
She's got lake brain. See, yeah.
I have lake brain. Yep, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
So we finished up our time there, came home Saturday morning for the Philadelphia Zoo Ale Festival, and a bunch of my cycling ladies went with husbands and not husbands. So like my buddy Barb and her husband Al, Joan and her husband Matt,
Oh, that's
oh,
fun.
Dave's business partner who we interviewed, Bob Weinhold, and his
Oh,
wife
Bob
Kimberly.
went. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, Bob went and Deneen. So we just had a blast just hanging out and doing the ale festival, and of course drinking too much, as is the nature of the festival, because you're there with over 100 samples of different types of mead, ciders, seltzers, alcohol, and beer. And yeah, you just pretty much spend 4 hours sampling
So,
and
did you
listening
find
to good
anything new?
music.
You find anything new that you connected with that you were like, oh, I need to go and add that to my repertoire?
Yeah, but it'd probably be good if I like made note of these things before I got tipsy and forgot them. So yeah,
Oh
there
no.
was a lot of very good beer. A lot. I think that there was
Okay.
one maybe from Big Oyster Brewing, I think was one that was
Okay.
delicious.
Okay.
I started out
Camera,
with a
girl. Camera.
mead.
You got to camera them.
I know, I know. I started out with a mead and that was delicious.
Have I taught you nothing with the wine?
Yeah. There was something in the back corner from some place that I went to that was like a blueberry wheat ale that was freaking fantastic. It tasted like
Oh,
blueberry. It
I
was
wonder. I
delicious.
wonder if it. So there is a German restaurant bar in Philly, and our friends Julie and Jason Lang, who we hung out with this past weekend. Jason actually brought some blueberry beer, and he had it at this German restaurant. And I guess it's like one of their brews, and I do not know the name of the brewery, but maybe that's the connection there. I don't know.
It could
I don't
be, who
know.
knows?
I
No
don't know.
idea.
Okay.
But then today, the last day or so, we're just all about getting ready to head down to Florida tomorrow because my youngest, Ella, is headed down to take part in the Disney College program. So we are driving her car from Chester Springs, Pennsylvania, all the way down to Jacksonville tomorrow. And then we'll do Jacksonville to my mom's house in Fort Myers. And then Saturday will be back up to Orlando, move her in, and then I fly back early Tuesday morning next week. So, yeah. So it's busy, busy, wonderful. It's wonderful. First world problems, but very busy right now.
Yeah, girl, you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I
How
know you,
about you?
well, you and I, Lori and I actually were able to get in a run with each other this morning,
It
and
felt really good too, I have to say. It was a
it
good
felt really,
run.
really good. And like, I mean, I was looking at the pace and I was like, God, I run so much faster when I'm with you versus when I'm by myself. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, la la la. And then like I was like, oh damn, we're like kind of killing it this morning. I was pretty happy. Although the other day I did share with you and Maggie that I did a sub 10 minute, I was at a sub 10-minute mile in my last half mile because Maggie inspired me. Lori's daughter Maggie went and sent us a note about a run that she did, and she was like, I don't know, she was averaging some wicked shit like 840 something. I'm not exact there,
Yeah.
but it was that I was like, oh my God. Like I was like, all right, I can do this. I can do this. I still got it. I don't know if I can sustain it for a long period of time and I don't want to hurt myself, but I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
So I know where that the half mile point is before like I get to my house and I'm like, all right, like just pour it on, Laura. Just pour it on. Even if you're gonna throw up at the end. I did not, just on the
Very
record. I did
good.
not. But yeah, like the last I looked at my watch, it was like either a 9:45 or a 9:42. And I was just like, yes, like I got below 10. So I was pretty happy about that.
Nice.
I don't know. And
Yeah.
and we'll talk about it in like running news about like somebody that just broke a world record. I don't know how people I'm just not a naturally fast runner. I'm just not. Like it's not
I
in my
know.
cards. But
No,
um
I'm
but
not built
my
like a Kenyan or an
no, I
Ethiopian for that matter.
no, yes, exactly. But no, my weekend, I had a fun weekend. So I know like I was bummed because when you guys originally had scored the tickets for the beer festival, we had a friend's wedding. A friend whose daughter got married, and so I couldn't go and do the beer festival like that weekend. And I know it had gotten rained out. They rescheduled it for this weekend. We couldn't do it
Yeah.
this weekend either because we had I'm going to just say old friends come down. Julie and Jason Lang. Julie and I have known each other, figured out since 1998. So we're talking like almost
Nice.
30 years, and we've worked with each other in a multitude of different places, and just I don't know. Her and her husband came down on Saturday morning, and we just the weather was kind of crappy on Saturday, but we made the best of it. We got to go down to the Sassafras Dock Days, where it's kind of like the redneck Riviera, where like the people go and take their boats and like speed dock it and stuff. They're crazy. Like Julie kept asking me like, so what am I looking at here? Like what does success look like? Like why am I looking at this? And we're like, one guy's saying his dick is bigger than the other. And like, look at my boat, and she's like, and how much do these boats cost? And Jim was kind of estimating one boat. It's like, man, that boat's probably about $450,000. And she's like, what the hell? And they're
Yeah.
coming at these docks, these cement docks, at like, I don't know, I don't even know how many miles an hour on the water. But so we did that for a little bit. We hit the Bohemia Manor Winery for some food and drink. It just got on the boat for a little bit. Like, everything. I know I told you this morning when we were running, like everything was a window. It was like Jim was like, we got a window of like 3 hours of no rain. But we got a chance to be outside for a bit on Saturday. Just great conversation. And then Sunday a couple of us were nursing hangovers, And then and then we hit the view for some food and got on the boat again. So it was just like a really nice lazy day. Jim sent Jason home with a ton of blue crabs. And so
Nice.
Julie had taken a picture, Sunday night. They had steamed up the crabs, and we're eating them up. So that's what we did this past weekend. Just it's just always really nice. And like just reconnecting with like your cycling gals. Just when you reconnect with old friends and stuff, and you're just like, yeah, like life is good. Like life is good when you have like just solid people around you that you could just pick up like right where you left off.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah.
Lori,
Yep. Yes.
what's the running news that we got going on? Because there's some cool running news that like happened this past week.
Y- Yeah. So the world record for the half marathon has been shattered.
I know
Yes.
that we've mentioned Yomip's name in recent episodes. So
Yes.
Yomith, yeah, so you and I were like, dude, like we know this guy's name. Like, we've said this before. So recently when we talked about the London Marathon and that record, like or like the marathon record getting shattered and like at a sub, 2 hour marathon. Yomith was actually one of the two gentlemen in that race that came in. He came in at a 1:59:41, but he came in second place behind the
And
other
that's
dude who
crazy
ran
because he,
faster than him.
right. So he would have broken the world record as well that day. So there would have been two people that went sub 2 hours for the first time ever at London. It's insane.
I mean, this
But
guy's this guy's
it's,
crazy. Yeah. So what
he
else is
is. So,
crazy? Like when you think about how fast this guy runs, you were throwing some stats out to me. So like, what does that look like?
yeah. So I had seen on Instagram from a post from Dr. Rachel Selman. So I'm taking this from her of what this pace actually looks like. So just bear with me because there's a few of these that I think are phenomenal. In 1 minute, Yomif covers more than four football fields. He
What? Can you
covers
imagine him being a wide
one.
receiver? If he could catch the
He'd have to
ball,
catch a.
oh
He
my
couldn't catch.
God.
He would outrun the ball. He would outrun the ball. He covers one football field in 14.8 seconds, roughly 231 times in a row. He covers the entire basketball court in 4.6 seconds, roughly 736 times in a row. Casual cycling is often around 10 to 12 miles per hour. He was at 13.8 miles per hour on foot. By the time a brisk walker covered just under 3 miles, he's finished the half marathon. And last but not least, if
That
I
one
had
blows me
you
away.
yeah, if I had you start walking at 3 miles per hour with a 45-minute head start, he'd catch you in about 12 and a half minutes. That's
Dude,
insane.
that is a
That is so
gift. That is a gift, Yomif. Like just an absolute gift. And he is 29 years old and he is from Ethiopia. So,
That's
dude,
crazy.
keep on running. Like we absolutely are just marveled by, your athleticism and your talent. Just absolutely marveled.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch his career. Like, where's this guy's
He's
limit? Nobody knows.
29. He's 29. Like that's like he's got bandwidth, man. Like and now like I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, what other marathons is he running? Like we just got to keep a pulse on this guy.
I
So,
wonder if he's
yeah.
going to run Berlin. We should check and see what he's running this fall.
Oh, I wonder if yeah, I wonder how we can go and check that out. We'll
Because
we'll, we'll have to
Berlin's
check it
a
out.
fast flat too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
he may be there. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to see this guy's career. So you know what else I'm excited about is talking about Jen Doan's
What was
career
that?
and running.
I know. Me too. I think we should check it out.
Hey, folks, we are super excited today on the Mile 20 podcast. We are talking with someone whose story is so powerful that it reminds us that the finish line means so much more than a medal or a race result. Jen Doan is an Ironman athlete. An Ironman U certified coach and host of the Toughest Finish Line podcast. So, a fellow podcaster. After experiencing postpartum depression and anxiety following the birth of her daughter, Jen found her way back through running and eventually all the way to the Ironman World Championships in Kona and Nice. Jen has turned her
Phenomenal.
own endurance journey, into a way of helping and inspiring others. Lori and I included, like we are girl crushing on you right now, Jen. um, partic-
Absolutely.
Particularly around mental health and the transformative power of sport. And she certainly isn't afraid of a challenge. She recently took on the incredible goal of completing not one, but two full Ironmans on consecutive days in two countries, y'all. So
Insane.
insane. So, Jen, welcome to Mile 20, and we cannot wait to go and hear about your journey, what keeps you pushing forward, and where do you go after doing 140.6 miles? So, welcome
Oh,
aboard, Jen.
I don't know, but thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on and listening to that. I'm like, I can't believe that was actually me. It doesn't feel like it was me. So yeah, thank you
Oh,
for the introduction.
oh my goodness. So for our listeners, the way that we came about, Jen's journey is that Jen had posted on, I think it was either Instagram or Facebook. Somehow we got it on social media, and Lori's daughter Maggie sent us the link, and we were like, oh my gosh, we have to talk to Jen. Like like this lady is like absolutely like incredible.
Jen, before we get started with anything though, can you show us your medals? Because that is incredible.
I can. So I've got the Ironman Kalmar medal there, and
Oh,
then the Ironman Copenhagen one just
Oh,
there. And
yeah.
beautiful.
I actually got a third as well because in the Nordics they also do it. If you do a Ironman 70.3, so a half Ironman and a full, you get their Viking medal, which technically I
Yes.
wasn't meant to get because I hadn't done a 70.3, they said. And I was like, but I've done two fulls. So they did let me have it. So I got all three, which was amazing.
Oh, that's
Oh,
beautiful. Oh my gosh. I like those those are incredible medals and well
those
deserved.
almost wanted. I'm almost inspired to be insane, but not quite. But that Viking medal looks really cool. Really cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're very strong medals, Ironman medals. So yeah, it does make it all worthwhile.
So Jen, you are located in the UK. So tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about yourself. Like how have you lived in the UK like your entire life, family, anything you want to share with our listeners before we start diving into like the running side of you or the Iron
Yeah,
Man
so
side of the Iron Woman side of you?
yeah, I've always lived in the UK. I live on the south coast. And I have a little girl who's 7 years old now, who, yeah, just cheers me on no end and is part of the reason why I do what I do. So, I'm a speech and language therapist, which I think would be a speech pathologist for you guys. That's my kind of day job and background, but now branching into the world of podcasting and also being an Ironman coach.
Oh my goodness. That
that's
is
so
absolutely incredible.
cool.
I was gonna share, Jen, that Lori and I are actually headed to London in a few weeks in October. We're headed to a football game, an American football game that's being played right outside of London. So we'll be in your neck of the woods, but not entirely in your neck of the woods. You come from a very,
Not
very
too,
pretty area of Britain.
yeah, not too far away though. So yeah, I'll have to. My husband loves American sports, so I need to check that one out.
Oh, outstanding, outstanding. I love it.
So tell us about how you got into athletics. Like, were you athletic as a kid or did you come into it later? Like, tell us about kind of your journey through getting involved in sports, running, and then the triathlete.
Yeah, so I was never an athletic kid at all. I did swim as a child, but that was because my sister swam and she swam for the counties and things like that. And I was never as good as her and I kind of had to go along with it. But I did like my swimming. But other than that, I was not sporty at all as a child. And then I met my husband, who was quite a runner at the time. And, you want to kind of impress the guy that you're getting with. So I was like, yeah, I can do some running. But found that I really liked it. I wasn't good at it at all, but I found that after work I could go for a run and it would clear my head, and I'd feel top form after it. Um, and so I did a couple of marathons before I had my daughter. And then, yeah, had my little girl. And I'd always wanted children. I work with children, and children were always part of the plan. But I very quickly realised that things weren't right. And, I was told, oh, it's baby blues, just get on with it. But I just spiraled basically, and it was the weirdest feeling of just such anxiety that anytime I was going out the house, it was such a big thing. Anytime she cried, which obviously babies cry a lot, but anytime she
Yeah.
cried, I would internalize that was completely my fault. And it started off like that, and I try and just keep plowing through it. But it just got worse and worse, and to the extent that it was, even just hearing her cry, just the sound would crush me. And as I said, I couldn't go out the house. I would sit in the car just sobbing for ages to be able to get anywhere. And it started impacting obviously on my husband and I, because he had a wife who was really struggling, and he was like, how do I help? He was doing all he could. And I ended up in just such a dark place that I was like, they're going to be better off without me. I'm not good enough to be her mum or anything. And I've been to the doctors a couple of times, and they were like, it's baby blues, get on with it, carry on. But I finally went, and whether it was coincidence, but I had managed to get an appointment with a female doctor, and she listened, and she just said to me, she was like, Jan, have you ever thought this might be postpartum depression? And I'd always thought that postpartum depression was when you didn't bond with your child. And I was like, it's not that. Like, I love her so much that it's almost all consuming, that it's too much. And she was like, it can present in such different ways. And so it was almost like a light bulb went off at that moment, because I was like, this is why I'm feeling like I am. And it had been months, it wasn't a quick fix, but it really kind of made me go, oh, okay, it's not just me going crazy and losing everything. But it was creeping into COVID times. So in England, we have the NHS, which is amazing. But I was told that there would be a massive wait for counselling. I was then offered counselling online with a group of 50 people
Oh
who
my
had all
goodness.
different forms of depression.
Mm.
And I was like, I can't relate to that. Like, I can't, everybody's got different types of depression, but I just couldn't access that. So I was really struggling. And I went on antidepressants, which have massively helped me to a point. But it was my husband who said, Jan, you always found that running helped you. Why don't you try and get out for a run? And initially I was like, I can't get out the front door. Like, how on earth do I do that?
Yeah.
And he helped me push myself to getting out with the buggy, and it was initially just a 30-second little jog with the buggy, but then I managed to build it up, and just that sense of I did it, and the kind of, actually I was in control of the run. I could speed up, I could ease it, and I was like, that's me, that's a part of me that I'd lost so much.
Yeah.
So we just built it up from there, and he was amazing. He really supported me with getting out. Some people were like, he's encouraging you to get to the gym when you just had a baby. Like, this is a bit mean. And I was like, no, it was the best thing that he could have done for me. And then from that, I was like, I'm just going to set myself I need a goal. I need something to focus on to keep pushing me, because this is so hard getting out the door. I need something to move me on. And I'd done a marathon, as I said before, but I was like, I just need to do something different. And as I say,
Mhm.
I swam as a child. And I was like, I'm going to book an Ironman 70.3. And I'd never done a triathlon.
Wow.
I'd never done anything. I'd never ridden a road bike. I didn't own a road bike. I'd never really sea swam, and went for it. And yeah, the rest is history. I just fell in love with it, and it all went on from there.
So where did you find out about like Ironmans? Like like where you were like you're like, yeah, no, instead of doing, this, I like starting out with like maybe sprint triathlons or something, like I'm gonna go for an Ironman.
Well, it was like, ironically, I think it was when my husband and I were on honeymoon. We were in America, and it was the Ironman World Championships were on the telly. And it came up, and we were watching it, and I was like, that's insane. Like, that's ridiculous how far they're doing it. And I kind of, I'd heard about sprint triathlons and shorter distance, but I think
Yeah,
for me at that time, it was, I need to go big. I need to go for something that's really going to push me to keep getting out the door, and keep supporting myself, and
yeah.
getting me back. So, because otherwise, I'm going to lose my marriage, I'm going to lose my life. So I was like, go big or go home, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And Jen, thank you so much for sharing that because I mean, and especially the time period that you were impacted, during COVID. I mean, that could have gone a bunch of different directions for you. So, so one, kudos to you for sharing that with listeners because, everybody deals with, like mental health, like in very, very different ways, but it like
Yeah.
people connect with different things to go and get them into a different path, right? So it was awesome too to go and hear that you have such a supportive spouse who wasn't trying to push you to the gym for the wrong reasons.
No, absolutely not.
So
Yeah, that's I think the key
yeah,
having a good spouse is just key to all of endurance sports. Like the level of understanding to know like the hours that you spend out
yeah,
on the road if they're not with you. I mean,
Mm.
it's phenomenal. I mean, it's so cool that you have that. And I think it's really interesting how and educational too, because I too always thought that postpartum depression was kind of like a rejection, and unable to care for the
Yeah.
baby and lack of love and connection. I didn't realize that it had different ways that it manifested either. So I think just educating people too that it can present itself in different ways is so important. And it's really cool that you have that platform to move that kind of information out there.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to do, and part of the reason I'd set the challenge, because so many people think that they think, and I absolutely I did, that it's just not bonding with your children, but it presents in so many different ways, and people are misdiagnosed. And so I just wanted to share my story to hopefully if somebody else is going through similar, then it might just give them a little bit of a way out, and a light at the end of the tunnel.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And some people don't like to share their story, because it's such a personal thing. But the fact that you've shared your story, you have, just garnered such a successful, I'm just gonna call it a successful career, right? In running your Ironman, competitions. That it can go and you can go down any path, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
what you do with it, and also again, having that support. So which is fantastic. So we would define, Jen, that what you went through, right? And your pivot point as like your mile 20 moment. So the whole reason why we have defined or named our podcast the Mile 20 podcast is one, because mile 20, like that's usually when runners like in a marathon. I don't know that'll be an interesting question. When do you hit the wall in a try in an Ironman? But
I am
in a
curious.
I know, right? So that'll be our next question. But like in a marathon, it's usually like mile 20, around that point
Mhm.
where the brain and the mind start, kind of competing with each other and you want to kind of give up. So very much in parallel, Lori and I are two wonderful ladies in our 50s. And it's kind of like the next umpteenth number of years, right? That we have it. That's our mile 20, where we have chosen to
Yeah.
continue to move forward and just move through obstacles, right? In order to to keep active and stay healthy. But we also, so this is, we're naughty. We actually also plant alcoholic beverages at mile 20 at every single marathon.
I love
Berlin's going
that.
to be a challenge.
Berlin might be a challenge, but so that's another reason. But when we interview people, we ask them like, what's your mile 20 moment? I mean, what you just described is a mile 20 moment where you
Mm,
had the rest of the course of like your life with like your spouse and with your daughter and with yourself, right? And
yeah.
how you chose to go like that next, the next umpteenth number of miles. So when you think about like that first 30-second run, right? Versus like then all of a sudden, you're getting into, establishing you want to go and do an Ironman. What did you learn about yourself in terms of like what skill or quality did you find in yourself that enabled you to like very slowly start to pivot on like where you were versus like I'm just gonna say like where you are right now?
I think it was, I'd lost myself so much that it was just the reminder of actually like the skill in myself that I can do hard things and that I can keep pushing forwards. And my mantra and the thing that the races were basically cool was about taking a step and then one more step. And that comes from my daughter's favorite film years ago was Frozen 2, and there's a song in it where Anna is singing about take a step and then one more step. And so it became our little mantra that we could take a step and then one more step. And I reflected on it and I was like, that's exactly how I felt when I stepped out for that kind of first run. And I was like, if I can, I'm strong enough to take a step and then one more step in any situation, whether it's, being poorly, I can build myself up, just go one step at a time. And so it was that absolutely at that time without realizing it that this whole thing would come from it, that just taking a step and then one more step, I am strong enough to do that. And that was just the overwhelming feeling, the feeling of that 30-second run at the beginning. I was like, I'm doing it, just go one step. And
I love
it's
that.
a reminder that we're all stronger than we think we are. And I
Yeah.
think that we're often battered down that, oh, I can't do that, and I could never do that, I could never do this. And I used to think if I could never get out the front door. And then it was I never could do a half Ironman, and then it became I never could do an Ironman, and from there, and we are so much stronger than we think.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And that can resonate to so many people, right? Depending
Yeah,
upon what they're dealing with in life. It's just, you take one step at a time. Don't
absolutely.
try to take the leap, because the leap seems a little too unsurmountable sometimes. But taking
Yeah.
taking those one step at a time, I absolutely love that. And I know what song you're talking about. I'm not going to sing it because I suck at singing.
Okay, so
Oh
we
no,
need to
it's
go
like,
back to the question at
yeah.
hand, though. Where is the wall in an Ironman?
Well, I mean, ironically, the wall was different for a standalone Ironman to compared to the double back-to-back Ironmans. So
Well,
typically,
tell us about both.
yeah, so typically I find that if I'm just doing one Ironman, that's not just an Ironman, is
So
very,
funny.
very
Like when I
difficult.
just do an Ironman.
But I mean purely one Ironman, which is a huge, huge thing in itself. It's usually for me, it's around mile 65 on the bike that I hit, because I've come through so much, but there's still a massive chunk of the bike to go and a marathon to go. So, but then if you can get through that, again, it's similar to you guys, as I say, kind of mile 18 to 20 on the marathon is also a wall. So very similar in that respect. With the back to back, it actually hit slightly earlier. It was definitely just before halfway on the bike, because I was like, there's so much more still to go. It's not the rest of the bike and the run, it's then a whole nother Ironman afterwards. So that mentally, I had to talk myself through that a lot and just push that to a side, because again, if I thought about the whole 48 hours that it was going to be, or 36 hours, what it turned out to be, I would never have made it at all. So I just had to push it to one side. And ironically, I was thinking about what drink I was going to have on the finish line to help me push through that. So it works for us all.
So Jen,
Did I see that
you know,
are you a wine girl? Because I think I did see some wine on your social media. Was that the
Yeah.
treat at the end?
It was wine, but I've had quite a bit of champagne as well. My lovely friends and my husband have bought champagne and things, so I'm a champagne gal as well.
oh, I love that. I love it. So Jen, how did the whole two Ironmans in one weekend in two different countries, like how did that come about?
Well, it kind of all builds really, because I did my 70.3 as my first one, and then that went on, as it inevitably does, to a full Ironman. And I was actually, I went to initially race the World Championships with the Ironman Foundation, because it was the first female only World Championships in Kona. And they were taking 30 women who all had a story. So there was, Adrian Bunn, who was the youngest athlete with autism to cross the finish line. Ashley Norton, who had double pacemaker surgery and multiple sclerosis. And so there's 30 of us that all went,
Wow.
and I was coming at it from a mental health point of view. And I met just the most incredible people who were so inspiring to race with and hear their stories. And that's where my podcast was born, from that, of just wanting a platform to help these people share their stories and inspire others, similar to what
I
you
love that.
guys do.
Love that.
And just help people get moving and know that they can get through. And so it built from there, really, that the podcast came about. And then I was chatting with the director of the Ironman Foundation, and we were, I was like, I want to do something big to, try and raise awareness that you can take a step and then one more step. And that message has just resonated through everybody's stories we've had on the podcast. There's people who have, lost loved ones. There's people who have had awful illnesses and been bedridden and completely immobilized, and the message was always the same, of take a step and then just one more step. So I'd looked at, can you even do back-to-back Ironmans? It wasn't, there was a lot of people who had done the back-to-back distance, but less women as well. So I was wanting to kind of raise the flag for women there. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Is it possible to do back-to-back Ironmans? And it was actually one of our friends who was like, I've been searching for you, Jen, and yes, you can do it. The Scandinavian double. And there's only been a handful of people who have done it. And I was like, is this even possible? I have no idea. But I spoke with the foundation, and they were like, yeah, we'll help you through it. And, the foundation do some incredible work of, they get bikes and swim lessons for children from the race communities, which is amazing. And again, it's giving the children their hope, to, that they, they wouldn't normally be able to afford swim lessons or bikes, but they've got a bike. And I was like, the bike helped me so much. And if it can help children as well, then let's bring the whole message and take a step, take one more step. And the podcast is called the Toughest Finish Line Podcast. So I was like, let's go for my toughest finish line ever. Let's try and see if this is even possible. And yeah, that's where the Ironman was. The back-to-back was kind of brought to life. And Ironman were great. They said, yep, we'll help you, because the biggest question that I always get asked is, because you have to rack your bike the day before the race. Which obviously you can't do when you're doing back-to-back Ironmans, because your bike, you're racing on it. So you have to get kind of consent from the race directors that I could rack my bike the morning in Copenhagen.
Oh.
And yeah, it was all approved, and off we went. It came from
goodness. The logistics on that. So what was the travel distance between the two races?
So it's I can't remember. It's a 200 and something or other miles. It's about 3.5 hour, 4 hour
Okay.
drive basically.
Okay.
So working all that out was quite an interesting one. So we flew into Copenhagen,
Yeah.
and I legged it off the plane. I left my little girl and my husband to go and get the bags so that I could go and register in Copenhagen because you have to still register for the race. And they were shutting, so I had like an hour to get there before they shut. And so I managed to
Oh,
register.
wow.
My husband was due to come and pick me up, but I phoned him and was like, I've registered. If you got the hire car, can you come and collect? And he was like, Jen, I'm still at the airport. The airline have lost all our bags. And they'd lost all our cases. My bike had thankfully arrived, amazingly. But we had no clothes. I had some of my kit in my hand luggage. So I always keep my trainers and my bike shoes, things that I
Yeah.
would need kind of bespoke for me. But everything else, all my nutrition, my wetsuits, like everything was, they had no idea where it was. They were like, we think it's back at Heathrow in London. But so we'd planned to drive
I mean,
up
like, you
to,
don't have enough to stress about with running
I
two
know, right?
races. Like, to have your baggage lost, that's terrible.
Oh, it was just, my heart just sank because we planned to drive up to Kalmar. So I'd registered in Copenhagen, drive straight up to Kalmar so that then Friday I could just spend the day, I'd register in Kalmar and I could just spend the day sorting kit, getting everything organized and chill out. But it just, yeah, we were like, we've got to wait to see if our bags come. Potentially they might not. So it, yeah, there was another choice at that point because my husband and my daughter were stuck at the baggage claim because they were told if they left to the airport they wouldn't be allowed back in until the following morning.
Oh,
So they were like, well, we're gonna have to wait in case, because we were told the bags might come in on the next flight. So I was just sat in the airport on my own and I just burst into tears because I was like, this is over before it's even started. It's just a nightmare. But yeah, we managed to get my little girl out so I could go and take her to get some food, and we changed our plans. You booked a hotel there, and the next morning we were like, we'll just have to see. But again, I had to register in Kalmar before they shut. So I had to get the van. I hadn't driven in a foreign country for a very long time, and I was like in a van driving on the wrong side of the road whilst my husband waited for the bags. And I drove up to Kalmar, and then thankfully they came in on the next flight, and he was able to get the
wow.
train up and meet me in Kalmar. But we'd lost, that whole night I'd barely slept because I was like
Oh, I can't even
worrying about
imagine.
it. Um, and we'd lost all the kind of final prep day. So we were in the car park flinging kit in bags so that we could wrap
Oh
in
my God.
time before they shut.
Do you think that because you lost that like both physical and mental preparation, do you think it almost like helped you because you were so concentrated on the kit and not the races? Like that's
Potentially,
kind of like
yeah.
weird, like, right? But I mean,
No,
it's kind of like a little bit of a mind screw where you're like,
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
focusing on the wrong thing right now, but like I have to
yeah,
worry about that, right?
absolutely. It definitely was
Wow.
a big distraction. And the whole time I just kept saying to myself, I've got a choice here. I can either just crumble on the side of the airport and
Yeah.
just, everything's gone, or I choose, let's go for a plan B, let's work it out and let's try and keep the emotions at
Yeah.
bay. And my husband just kept saying, he was like, don't waste the energy on crying or anything. You need that energy. This is what we're going to do. And so we would just had to switch the plan.
Wow. That's
That's good
incredible.
that you can be that flexible.
Right. Yeah, I know when Lori and I we fly like all over the country, the world to go run. That's always our primary focus of okay, like where's my gear for the race?
Yeah,
And if we have to check in bags, usually we have like our running gear, as our carry-on. Because
yeah,
like worst case
yeah,
scenario, I might not have clean underwear, but I'm going to have my damn shorts and my running bra and, my watch,
All the
just
important
all
pieces.
the important stuff. But yeah, like when you're talking about, an Ironman and all of the gear and everything that comes along with that. I mean, that's just a whole other, that's beyond a carry-on bag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
way
yeah.
beyond.
And it was all, my daughter's stuff. And, the worst bit is that my husband, normally he keeps his glasses and his contact lenses in his hand luggage. And for some reason, this flight he didn't. And he has to take them out each night, their daily ones. And he was like, I'm going to be blind. I
Oh
can't
my God.
see. And I was just like, oh my goodness, you can't even drive the van. It was just a bit of a
Just
car
like,
crash. But again, I think, it was all about the toughest finish line, but actually it shows that even with the toughest start line, you can still get through and you,
well, I
you can keep going. So it works both ways.
I tell you what, Jen, it makes for a really good story though right now. So,
Yes,
all
it
right.
does.
So the other question that I have is, and just for context, so Lori and I have done a double in the past. We did two marathons. We did what's called the I-35 challenge. So we did a marathon on a Saturday in Kansas City, Missouri, and then did a marathon in Des Moines, Iowa the next day. And what was it? It was maybe like a
Amazing.
2-hour drive. But I remember the next morning. So again, like, we had to check in on each other, right? Like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Because we were doing this together, right? And just putting on running clothes the next day and thinking about, oh, I'm going to put goo in my mouth again, and so like when you woke up I'm assuming it was a Saturday and a Sunday, right? So when you
Yeah.
woke up the next day to run the second Ironman, like what was your state of mind when you woke up and you're like, okay, like, did you do okay, everything in the body is good, and like, okay, how do we move this forward? Like, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely had. I mean, definitely when my alarm went off, it was the initial wave of dread, like, oh my goodness, like where does this go?
Mm,
But I think for
yes.
me, because I'd finished the race in camp, or the last part of the marathon, I'd started getting really nauseous.
Mm.
And I think it was just the amount of gels and everything, which often, you try and avoid that in an Ironman, but sometimes it happens. And I'd actually, when I crossed the finish line, I'd met my family and I had to lie down because I was fainting basically and shaking, and I was so nauseous. And so when I opened my eyes the next morning, I was like, is the nausea still there? And I was like, oh no, it is there. And I still felt really sick, quite unusual. Normally after big events,
Oh no.
I wake up and I feel okay. And I was like, oh no. And I think that almost kick started me because I was like, I've just got to get in the zone. I've just got to get on with it. There's nothing I can do about this. I need to try and get some nutrition, which I really struggled with. But it was almost, no, I'm in the middle. It was almost like the sleep was another element of the race. It wasn't like
Hmm.
one race finished and the other race started. It was just that it was just another element of the race. So it was like, right, on to the next. And it was weird. It just seemed like the next bit and we just got on with it. It was
It
strange.
was
It
like one big
wasn't
continuous race
it
with
wasn't as
with a
hard
nap.
as I thought it was.
I was gonna
It
say
was, yeah.
like one big continuous race with a little nap in between.
Yeah. I just don't even know how
Yes.
you
Yeah.
burn so many calories doing an Ironman. I mean, you do it doing a marathon, but to do back-to-back marathons, but
Yeah.
you're so many calories that you cannot make up that deficit in those few hours in between the two. Because honestly, like from the time you finished to the start line the next day, how much time was there? Was it less than 12 hours?
Yeah, so I finished it was about 7:30 on the Saturday. So then I had a little lie on the pavement and I had to get myself together. And then we finally got on the road about 8:15. And then had the drive, got to Copenhagen. It was about 11:30 midnight. And then,
Oh my
yeah, the alarm went
goodness.
off at 4:30 to get my final kit because we'd had to pack my bike. Obviously, you have to break down your bike to fit it in the van. So we had to rebuild my bike the next morning. So there was about 4.5 hours, if that, sleep So I had food that I'd made for in the van driving down, and I had some protein. And I didn't want to eat it at all, but
Yeah.
I've got to just keep eating as much as I could. And as I said, the next morning I woke up and I still felt so nauseous, and I was trying to eat a bagel, and I cannot eat this, but I was trying to get as much down as I could. But again, the thing that blew my mind with that is the nausea was there, so I ate so much less than I would normally for an Ironman. And it was amazing because I actually felt better on that second race than I did in the first race. I was like, this is crazy. I've got nothing in my body, but I feel pretty good.
That
Maybe it's
is
because you knew that there
insane.
wasn't another one. There
Yes,
wasn't a third.
maybe.
It's like, I'm done after this one.
Although we have found like we've done 3 marathons in 3 weekends one year, and absolutely
Right.
that third marathon felt way better than probably any marathon I had run that
Funny.
year. So it's so bizarre the way that works sometimes, the body does. So
Yeah.
tell
I
me,
think, I
I
think,
have to know, was there a terrible amount of chafing anywhere that you, especially after the first day, that when it came to the second day, you were like, oh my God, this is going to be horrible?
yes, there was. So, I mean, the first day after the swim, I'd swam in my kit, I'd trained in it, but I did have chafing like under my arm here. So
Oh.
once I got on I hadn't realized, but I got onto the run and I was like, oh, that's a
Uh,
little bit sore. But then the second day, I got off the bike and I started running, and I was like, "Ooh, that's very sore down below." And so I was had some Vaseline in my kit bag, which normally I try not to put on. But I was like, I'm just going to lather it. But yes, that shower that second night was very painful down below, shall we say?
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
that is always the worst when you and sometimes you don't know, right? Like when you are chafed, and then when you get into the shower and you feel like somebody just took razor blades like on your body, and like definitely for our listeners, like whatever your your desired lubrication is, like don't underestimate like using it, like reapply it. I know Lori and I, we travel with like, our little, what the hell are those called, Lori? The little tiny containers. It was a
the body
body
glide.
glide.
Yes,
But
yeah,
that,
yeah,
Jen, I have been a Vaseline user, like to the point where when Lori and I ran a race in the state of Washington, we went to go grab breakfast. And like, well, not breakfast, but like they had like, some bananas and stuff for runners, at the hotel
yeah.
before we left for the race. And so I had sat down, Lori, do you remember this? I sat down on a seat
Yes.
in like the breakfast area. And when I got up, I left like this Vaseline, like ass, like mark. And I was like, and I tried to get it off, and it's and like you couldn't get, I was like, Lori, we need to go. Like, so, so Vaseline definitely does the trick. It's just like, it just, it leaves a little bit extra, afterward.
Yeah, yeah, and I normally have proper like body glide or shampoo cream to put, and but I think the haste of the next morning, it was the one thing that I'd
Oh,
forgotten, so it was bound to happen. But to be fair, after everything that I'd done, if that was one of the things that hurt, I'll take it over,
oh my
not
gosh.
finishing or struggling or injuring
Oh,
myself more.
absolutely, absolutely, totally agree. So the one of the last questions we have before we go into like a little bit of our rapid fire is that you're a coach now, right? For you're an Ironman U
Mhm.
certified coach. So how do you take what like your passion for what you're doing and your journey, right, as well? Because I mean your journey has just been absolutely incredible to like what you have recently accomplished with the dual
Thank you.
Ironmans. But how do you take what you have learned in life, and then how does that transcend into like your gift as a coach to other people?
I think the biggest thing I find is that so many people go, I could never do that. I kind of quite like to do it. And they, just as I did, I went through, I couldn't do it because I'm a mum, or a working mum, or it's time, I don't have any time. And so I think the biggest thing that I find is that it's the help with juggling around training around your life, and that you can make it work. There are
Yeah.
ways to fit it in, and you don't have to be. I think a lot of people think about Ironman training and think you're training for 20 hours a week, and yes, some athletes do that, but you don't have to if you get the sessions right, and are really
Mm,
putting in, so that each session you do is not maximum effort, but it's maximum results.
okay.
You can do it on a lot shorter time, and you can juggle
Hmm.
it. I've got athletes who are working and traveling the world at the same time, and we have to get creative sometimes with different gyms around the world, and late and morning sessions, and ensuring that there's enough recovery. But you can make it work, I think, it's just giving them the confidence that you can do it, even if you're going, I could never do that. That was absolutely me. I thought I could never do a Ironman 70.3. But at the time, it was, I could never get out the front door, and I made it out the front door, and you can just build on it from there. So it's making training real life. I think there's a lot on social media that makes it look easy,
Mm.
and that you're not juggling it around things, but you can absolutely do that.
I love that. I absolutely love that. All right, Laura, you
My
ready
husband did.
oh, go
Well,
ahead.
hold on. My husband
Yeah.
did a half, and my oldest Maggie, who you talked to, she's like just come to me recently, and she was like, I think I'm going to do it, Mom. I'm going to start training this year. I'm just going to become proficient in cycling and biking. And then she's like, and
Wow.
then after the wedding, I think I'm going to try and do a half and then maybe a full. And my husband was talking about it too. And I'm like, oh, I think you need to figure out 20 hours a week. So it's interesting that you're saying that you don't need 20 hours a week. What do you think like the
Yeah.
minimum is with that then for some
I
athletes?
mean, I think it's a really hard question to answer because everybody is so different. So it depends on where your baseline is. So if you're
That's
starting
true.
from nothing, but also if you're, building from, so everybody is completely different. It depends on your fitness levels. I mean, one athlete that I was coaching, Ashley Norton, she would have periods of time in hospital where she couldn't train for days, and she still went on and got round Kona. And that's not because of me, that's because of her motivation and her drive
Wow.
and all of that. So there's so many aspects that affect whether somebody can do it or not. I mean, definitely it's needing, 6, 7 sessions, so 6 days a week training. I would recommend, some days with double sessions putting in, again, you also start off less, so it depends how long you've got before a race. Because if you're
Yeah.
starting a year out, you absolutely don't need as much time. I've got some athletes who are maybe doing 6 hours a week. Yes, it builds closer to the race day. You might get to eventually closer to the time, a couple of weekends where you're doing a 6 hour bike ride into a brick run. It does vary, but definitely, even for the back to back, I was doing kind of 14, 15 hours a week training. But I was juggling around being a mum and working. But that's from my back to back. So it definitely doesn't need to be that much. And yeah, there's lots of factors that impact it, but you can make it work around life and having a social life and family. And I think that's the main thing that I say is you don't want the race to take over your whole life. You've still got family, you've still got social life, you've still got to work.
Hmm.
We need to make it work around that.
I love that. I
But
love that.
somehow it still winds up permeating everything in life, though, doesn't it? Like I know
Of
I
course it does.
identify as
Of
a
course.
marathon runner, you know?
I
Absolutely.
feel
It
like
does become who
it,
you are.
yeah, I feel like it used to permeate like more into my life than what it does now. And I don't know if it's just
Yeah.
like, again, like to your point where your body just becomes more proficient, and
Mhm.
it becomes trained, right?
Yeah.
I had a recent surgery that I couldn't run for a number of weeks, and then I just like I jumped right into like our next race. And while it was not
Wow.
while it was not a pretty race, I finished a full marathon, and that's resonating right now.
Yeah, and I think it shows the power of the mind as well. Like somebody said to me that it's 80%, sorry, 20% training. It's actually 80% mental. And it was absolutely come race weekend. Yes, there was the technique and my swim stroke and my, organizing
Yeah.
my nutrition. But the biggest thing was the mental side of things. And as I said, if I let my mind go, there's so much more ahead, I can't do this, it would have been over there. But if mentally you can switch that thinking, which is easier said than done, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
if you can just go, I have a choice. I can focus on this negative bit, or I can say, I'm going to take one more step, I'm going to get to one more aid station and then see how I feel. And that's the way that I was able to get through it. So mentally plays a huge part in it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. All right. So, Lori, do you have any more questions before we go into rapid fire?
No, I'm ready for rapid fire.
Okay. All right. So my first, or so these are, quick questions, not give a lot of thought to it. So my first question is, you have your Ironman bracelets on. Take them off or let them fall off?
Oh, you're gonna make me decide it. I'm gonna let them fall off
You go,
because when
girl.
else do you have two Ironman bracelets on?
Hell yeah. I love that answer.
I love it. I love it. How to ask that
All
one.
right. Morning run or evening run?
Morning, definitely. It's a struggle getting out of bed, but at least I've got it done and I can feel a bit smug thinking I've got my workout done for the day.
Kona or Nice?
Absolutely Kona.
Oh,
Nice was amazing. Nice was amazing, but there's something truly special about Kona. It is the birthplace. It's the main place for the race, and it's just the whole town comes alive, and it's in the views, the scenery, the music. It's yeah, got to be Kona.
love it. Love it.
Nice. Okay, you can only choose one. Swim, bike, or run.
Oh, I think for me it's got to be the run purely because it's the one that, ironically, it's the last one, but I feel more confident in.
Mm.
I think because I've run more, and it's probably my stronger one. I'm not a strong swimmer, and power on the bike I still struggle with. So I would say run, and I always feel amazing on the final mile of the bike. I'm like, I can get my running shoes on and go. So yeah, I'd say
Oh,
run.
that's awesome. That's awesome. What is your go-to post-race meal?
It does vary. Probably, well, this time I did have a big burger,
Nice.
which was big burger chips, but also a good breakfast. I do love a good breakfast that's, your pastries, cooked pancakes, and that's what absolutely
Speaking
I
our love
focused on for
language.
yeah.
Yes, I'm like ditto to all of that. Music, podcast, or silence on a long run?
Podcast, I would say for sure. I do on a long run, I do mix it a little bit, so that doesn't answer it fully. But I normally start off with a podcast and then switch it into music to distract.
What is your favorite piece of gear right now?
Ooh, tricky one. I mean, I've got to say it's my bike. I'm very, very lucky that my husband, without me knowing, bought me a bike last summer. And I've actually nicknamed it Kona because it's a beautiful, like sea blue color. And I rode it for the first time in Kona last year at the World Championships. And yeah, it's just my happy place when I jump on that.
I love that. Well,
Okay.
so my hold on a second. My dog's name is Kona, and exactly because of Hawaii.
Ah,
So, and
I
she's the
love
color.
it.
She's like the perfect color of like what I think is the ideal cup of coffee, like what a coffee should look like. So, yes. All
Kona
right.
brew.
Sorry, Laura, as I digress.
Well, no, that's okay because I was about to digress too, just to ask what kind of bike you got. I'm just curious.
I've got a Canyon TT bike. So I started out on a road bike, a Live bike, which I love. I still love that bike to pieces. Nicknamed it Live. You've got to name your bikes. So I still love that bike. But yeah, I've got a Canyon bike, which yeah, it's a very special one for me.
I
So
love
I love
that.
it.
I love that.
It's probably smooth like butter. Just ride.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, if you could run any marathon or Ironman anywhere in the world tomorrow, where would you go?
Oh, that's a really tricky one. I
Mhm.
mean, for me, it would be to go back to Kona every time. I'm fortunate, so grateful to have made it twice there to the start line. I would just go back there every time. But I would also love to do the New York Marathon. The New York Marathon is absolutely on my list that I'd
Do
love to
it.
do.
Do it.
So I just need to get the entrance in, which I need to work on. But yeah, I would probably say Kona.
I love it. I love it. All right. So this is our last question for you. What's one word that describes Jen Dunn today?
Tired.
That's legit.
I mean, I'm still straight. I mean, the back to back was less than 2 weeks ago, and I'm still, yeah, still a bit of brain fog. Muscles are still recovering. I was warned that it would take a good couple of weeks to feel a bit more like me,
Wow. Wow.
but no, tired, but also proud. I'm super proud of my
You should be.
family, like what we came from. And I never dreamed that this would be the path that my life took. As I said, I was not athletic, in the slightest, never took risks, never did anything like that. And yeah, it's changed my life forever. So I would just say to anybody listening, if you've got that itch to do something, just don't be afraid to push yourself, because you never know how it will change your life.
I love that.
That- That's fantastic. Can I ask, how's your knee doing? Because I did see that there was some issues after the race. Are you doing all right?
Yeah, it's okay. I felt it on the second swim. I felt it tweak, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And I'd had IT band issues
Mhm.
in my knee last year, and so it was that pain. So I kind of thought, I think that's what it is. It's got a lot better than it was. I'm still having to hobble downstairs a little bit. And actually, I took my daughter swimming just before this podcast with some friends, and was throwing them in the water. And I was like, oh, I still can't lift or twist on it. But it's 10 times better than it was. Thank you. And again, if that was the main issue that came from the back to back, I'll take it, because yeah, it could have been a lot worse. So.
Well, hopefully just getting a little bit of rest, a lot of rest, right? And
Yes.
hopefully it'll go and, and cure itself. So, just Jen, well done. Like, again, like, we're not
Thank
worthy. We're
you.
not worthy.
Not worthy.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you so
Oh,
much for having me on. It's been good fun. And keep doing what you're doing with your running and the marathons. It's super inspiring as well.
oh, thank you so much. And again, thanks for taking the time, because we know it's much later across the pond where
Yeah.
you are. So we greatly appreciate you digging into like your personal time to go and not only, meet us and converse with us, but share just your absolutely incredible story with our listeners. It's just, you are truly an inspiration.
Yes, it's been a
Oh,
pleasure to
thank
talk to you.
you.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad we got to talk to you, and amazing. And you've got me thinking again. I started in sprint triathlon, so now you got me thinking again.
Well, if you want any advice, I'm more than happy to help you.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Just
go.
life's too
Maybe
short. You never know what's around the corner, so go for it.
Oh, you're on
that's
your
so
own with that
true.
one, Laura. I will be your beer bitch, Lori. I will be your beer bitch. I will not, I will not. I did one sprint triathlon, Jen, and it wasn't for me. I just, could I get better at it? Maybe, but I just wasn't my bag. So, but I'm
But
okay with
you've got
that.
your
I'm okay
yeah,
with
and you've
that.
got your running. You've got your
Yeah.
running passion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, all right. Well, thank you so very much. We greatly appreciate you. And you have an absolutely wonderful evening.
Thank you. And you guys take care.
Thank you.
She was fantastic.
Oh,
God, I love her.
I absolutely, like, she she's good people, man. She's good people. You know what I really loved that Jen talked about was when she went to Kona with all of the other like 30, what did she mention, like 30 something other women? It was
30,
like all,
yeah, 30 women.
yeah. But everybody had a unique story, a unique experience of how they got to the start line. And I know that in previous episodes, you and I have talked about every single runner, every single athlete that starts a race has a story like leading up to it. And the ones that Jen was sharing with us, like one woman had, what was it, like double bypass, like
Or she
surgery
had a
and
pacemaker
or
or
pair
something. Yeah.
pacemaker and another woman had autism, and it just absolutely incredible. So I think you and I always talk about, and you always stress this, is like just get out there and move, right? Like just like there's nothing stopping you. And I think Jen saying put one foot in front of the other and just like make it happen, right? Like just one foot
Yes.
in front of the other. I think that is really the message of this. And when you put one foot in front of the other, incredible things can happen, you know.
That's so true. It's so true. I mean, it just jives with the whole message. Jen's message and ours is completely intertwined. I mean, you just don't know what you're capable of until you go and do it. And there's 1,000 reasons that you can talk yourself out of doing something. But the bottom line is that if something is niggling in the back of your head telling you that maybe you'd like to do it, just do it. Like
Yeah.
just get
What's
out
stopping
there
you? What's
and
stopping you?
and yeah, and I know you will have excuses, and there's probably some very valid reasons why you feel like you're stopping yourself. But the beauty of a story is the people that overcome that. And
Oh,
you just
totally.
got to go do it and find a way. So keep moving.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. And
Yes.
I the other thing that blew me away was all of the stuff that happens to Jen in terms of like her luggage like getting delayed. And
Yes.
just like because you and I know like just even doing a double for a marathon and the stress that that comes with that. So I can't even imagine like mentally and physically taking on two Ironmans within a weekend and just all of the stress that comes with that. And then to add on like the unexpected stress. And
Yeah.
it sounds like, again, like her spouse, like, hey, we're gonna go with it. And very, very
Yeah.
supportive and, helping her to channel her energy in and her, her focus in the right areas as well. Because man, that just, to get all hyped up for that could have been really catastrophic for her to not have her gear for that race.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can choose to go completely mental and off the rails, but it takes a lot of
You
discipline
pivot, you
to
pivot,
work through that
pivot, pivot,
pivot.
pivot, pivot, right?
Yes,
That's
to
it.
work through
That's
that
it.
mentally. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so next week we
What are we
will
talking
be
about next week?
we are going back onto our 50 states journey again, and we will be discussing our endeavors at the Kentucky Derby Marathon, which again we did in the 2022 season during our year from hell of, well, wonderful hell of marathoning. So I'm excited to dive into that. Louisville,
That was a good weekend. That was a fun weekend.
yeah, Louisville holds a special place in my heart because I was born there and I have a lot of family there. So it was a special weekend. It was one of those races that I'm like, okay, if we're running in Kentucky, we have to do the Kentucky Derby Marathon. So I was glad we were able to do that. But we want to thank everybody who's been joining us the last several weeks and this week and listening to us and liking us and following along on Instagram. We appreciate all of the love. You can find us at Mile 20 Podcast. We stream wherever you listen to your podcasts, and you can even join us on YouTube if you'd like and see us in my Mr. Magoo glasses. and I make a
Sorry,
funny
dude.
face.
Like, yeah, you do. We make when we're setting up our camera and stuff. We kind of make some funny faces with like getting really close to the camera and like doing a little bit of Mr. Magoo. Although you look more like Mr. Magoo than I do.
Yeah, I know, because my eyes get bigger when I really
They
when I
do.
stretch
They
them
do.
out.
They do. They get way bigger than mine.
Yes. But you know what else?
What?
Go make Mile 20 your bitch.
Peace out.